And on another note, I have to get a root canal, you guys, and I am not excited about that at all.
The idea of a root canal sucks. Pretty much right after I moved out of California, one of the first things that happened was I chipped one of my molars. And you're probably asking how. I like chewing on plastic. And before you diagnose me, maybe it's autism, maybe it's an oral fixation, maybe I'm just Mexican. I like chewing on plastic. Sometimes when I uncap a plastic water bottle, I will end up chewing on the cap. It happens. So I broke a tooth. Thought, okay, maybe it's just a cavity. Haven't had one since I was a kid. I went to a local dentist and they quoted me a little over $5,000 for a root canal. I didn't know what a root canal was. They didn't do a great job of explaining it. I wasn't really sure why I needed a root canal instead of like a filling. But they quoted me something like $5,600. So I did what any person who knows somebody who does something does, and I called my friend JP. He comes up a lot on this channel because he's 5'7", and I think that's funny, but his dad is a dentist. So I called him and I said, hey dude, what is this? He had me send all the x-rays and all the notes to his office, and he came back with okay, so if they want you to do a root canal, sure, come over here in Los Angeles and we'll do it for a lot cheaper. So instead of paying $5,600 to some random dentist, instead I was going to fly back to California and pay one of his dentists $2,400 to do it. I get there and there's two dentists in the office. It's his dad and one of the dentists that works for them. I end up with a dentist that doesn't look like JP. Does that mean I ended up with his dad? Dude, imagine they hired the dentist that was his real dad. I end up with the other dentist and he starts poking around and he's like, I really don't think you need a root canal. He hit me with like that cold spray and was like, did you feel that? And I was like, yeah, I felt that way too good. Why would you do that? And after my feelings stopped being hurt, I was like, yeah, it was cold. He went, cool. You don't need a root canal. Instead, it was just a filling and a crown. The idea of a root canal, which I still don't really understand what it is. I've now been explained and seen a couple videos, but it's never going to happen. I'm only good at math. The idea of a root canal is scary and unnecessary and stupid. Actually, I can show you guys a video that JP took where he just like hard zooms into my mouth. Is there sound to this? Oh, JP, why? Oh my God, dude. Is that what I look like? My way of telling my girlfriend Lee that this was happening was by telling her that JP's friend, one of the dental assistants, put her fingers in my mouth and she didn't like that. Anyway, you are probably wondering why I decided to bring this up today. Why I decided to talk about Morgan needing a root canal. And unfortunately, it's not really going to come up until the last part of her Instagram story, but it does have to do with religion and the idea of faith healing. But I'll give you guys more context before we get there.
Honestly, like I was leaning more towards just having them like literally rip my tooth out because
Lot cheaper. The guy who was like, root canal for $5,600 or I'll pull your tooth for like $3,000. Still way worse than having JP's dad do it, but still. So dumb, so dumb, so dumb. I make YouTube videos. I don't have dental insurance. Am I supposed to? Probably. I still chew on plastic. We don't have plastic water bottles here, so I'm fine for now.
I've just had way too many people in my life tell me horror stories about their root canals. I actually used to work for an endodontist, so I watched root canals be done, but I'm not gonna lie, I honestly don't remember any of that part of my life. I basically just like wiped my memory of that part of my life.
I'm assuming she was not working there when she was a teenager, and if she was working there in her 20s, she was already married to Paul. So that sucks to hear that it is part of her life she had to completely wipe from her memory, and that she's probably going to have to do it again when this part of her life is over.
So yeah, I have to get a root canal and I am dreading it, and I keep like going back and forth on if I should just have him pull the tooth. It's my farthest back molar up top.
The worst part is, if she does have the root canal, that means nobody's going to watch her children for an entire day.
But I'm 30 years old. I'm too young to be getting my tooth ripped out. Like, that seems absurd. That seems a little extra. So
okay, I'm 28. For a long time, for so much of history, people were dying before they got to 30, and their teeth were rotten. So if you're going to take care of only one part of your body, it needs to be your teeth. I'm so sure of that. Like, you're probably not Asmongold. You don't have the money from being a terrible person online to completely have your mouth reworked on after all of your teeth fall out from not brushing them for 6, 7, 12, 15 years. This actually would have been a really good excuse to have JP on a video, but he's at work taking care of his parents' offices. I'm not going to put the minute and a half of Morgan's story where she talks about being scared that the root canal is going to lead to other health issues later on. And she asked for people to say, oh, I had a root canal 10 years ago and it went fine, whatever. I'm not going to leave that in the video because it's just too long and you can go watch her story. But the way that I had explained to me was either root canal or have the tooth pulled. And if you have the tooth pulled, you need to have something in there to fill the space so that your mouth doesn't close, I guess, or for later on when there's like a tooth that needs to be put in there. Otherwise, like your gum deteriorates and that sounds worse. So if you're faced with the option of having or not having a root canal and you need to have a root canal, you should probably just have one. Hopefully by someone who isn't going to overcharge you and treats you well.
On that note that I mentioned in the last slide about not remembering like that part of my life, like I'm being very serious. I like literally, there's like a chunk of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 to 6-ish years that I don't really like, I have very little memory of. And that
You're married to Paul. Like every single one of us in that situation would have the exact same issue. I would also very traumatically not remember any of that. This is the part that I actually did want to talk about. I've decided I'm going to just pray that God would grow my tooth back. That's the only option I feel good about right now. Laughing face, laughing face. I'm going to give her the credit of, I think she's joking. I think Morgan is 100% joking. This isn't for her like an actual thing right now. I don't think she is weighing between like, get a medical procedure done or just pray the gay away with God. I need to go back and rewatch the Not Gay SSA special. The problem is Morgan, specifically Paul, right? But Paul and Morgan are fundamentalist, conservative Christians. It's not always that they're going to pray their illnesses away before they go see a doctor. The last time Morgan had a big medical issue, they eventually did go see a doctor, one that Paul didn't like because she was brown, but they went anyway. The issue is really that there are plenty of people just like them that do not think that is a joke. The issue is you get people like Jacqueline Crank, a 15-year-old who died from Ewing sarcoma in 2002 after her mother Ariel relied on prayer instead of medical treatment. 11-year-old Madeline Karen Newman of Weston, Wisconsin, who died of undiagnosed diabetes in March of 2008 after her parents, Leilani and Dale, prayed for their dying daughter instead of seeking medical help. After faith healing death of 8-year-old girl, 14 Christians found guilty of manslaughter. It's a real thing, and where my brain went to immediately after someone sent me Morgan's story today. I'm not so critical of Morgan joking about it, more so just the people who follow her that might take it seriously and might say, oh, if Morgan does it, it's totally cool that I do it too. It is 2025. The reason our lifespan has gotten so long is because of medicine, because of treatments, because of science. If you want to be religious, be religious. I'm in no way against that. But when it comes to your health and your children, consider putting them first before your own ideas. Morgan, please, for the love of whatever God it is you think you believe in, go get a root canal. And if you have $5,600, I know a guy. Surely that can't be more than Paul has spent on being a pickleballer, right? But that's going to be it for me today. I just saw this and decided to yap. So thank you all for spending time with me. This is my favorite thing to do. You're my favorite people to do it with. Go Chargers. Oh, get out of here. Go. Goodbye.